The Coach Dino here with the Katelynn Hernandez. What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Before we get started, I want you to know that that we were formerly DTK Sports, and we've rebranded. So you are the first guest on Vision Sports and Media, and so I want to welcome you. Katelynn Hernandez, we're going to talk about her journey in the world of wrestling and everything that how she got here and what she sees for herself in the future. Katelynn, first talk about what got you into female wrestling. Where are you from?
I'm from Tennessee. That's where I started wrestling. What got me into the sport was I was just one of the smallest kids at the school. So then they had me be their 112. So I was weighing around like 107, and then I just joined. And I quit my first week.
Why?
I don't know. I didn't like the uniforms. I didn't like.
Wait. You quit wrestling because you didn't like the uniform.
Yeah, and it was too aggressive at first.
Okay. So what even got you to the point of what made you think about wrestling? You have brothers?
Mm-mm.
So you don't-
Well, I have a brother and a sister, but they're younger.
Okay. So what got you? I mean, why wrestling?
I've just always done every sport. I've done volleyball, cross country, track. I've done everything. So wrestling was on.
Was the next on the list?
Yeah.
And so you got into it and you liked it.
Yeah, and that's the one sport I've stuck with.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you had to rank your sports, you just said that wrestling is number one. Give me your next two favorite sports.
It would have to be track, and then maybe volleyball, but I also like cross country. I like the distance.
Okay. So when you got into wrestling, in Tennessee, is it popular? Was it popular?
There's a lot more girls tournaments out there than there is down here.
Okay.
I give it that. The competition isn't as good though. But
So the competition is better here in Indiana?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of supporters, or did you have a lot of supporters? Did you have a lot of naysayers when you first started out in wrestling? Like, why are you wrestling? It's not a girl sport. Did you face any of that?
On my dad's side of the family, I did. Besides my dad, like my grandmother wasn't raised that way to be like aggressive.
Mhm.
Supposed to be like housewives-ish. I mean, that's literally what she said is it's a guy's sport, that I shouldn't be doing it. And I had to deal with that for the first year of me wrestling.
What was your response to that?
I just kept going. I mean, she lives in New York, so I was like, we all live out here. So.
See, my perception, I have some friends that are from New York. My best friend in the military, he was from the Bronx. So all the people I know from New York are, not in a negative way, kind of aggressive by nature. East Coast people are kind of aggressive. So I'm surprised that your grandma.
Yeah, it was my grandmother. My uncles and everybody else was fine with it. It was just my grandmother.
So do you have anyone that you look up to in the sport of wrestling? Like, you like their game, they inspire you. Who inspires you? Or you just kind of like blazing your own path?
I watch it a lot, but I don't really look up to anyone. I just want to make it to where everyone else is.
Okay.
If I were to look up to anybody, it would probably be my dad, because he's the one that's kept me going.
Did your dad wrestle?
He just played baseball.
Okay. So you come from somewhat of an athletic family.
Yeah, my dad did baseball and swimming, and then I've done all the other sports, and then my sister does some sports sometimes.
Wrestling?
She wants to start since I've been out here.
Okay.
So when I go back down there, we take her to Wildside, which is a wrestling place back home, and she wants to try it again. So.
Okay. Well, since you've been in Indiana, how long have you been in Indianapolis?
Since August 8th.
How do you like it?
It's good. It's been a roller coaster, but it's good.
It's been a roller coaster. Yeah. I kind of get it. How do you like Purdue Polytechnic High School?
I like Purdue. I like the environment better here than I did back home.
Okay.
There was a lot more fights back home at my school. So we don't deal with a whole lot of fights here. There was 2 at the beginning of the school year, but that was it.
Okay. But If not that we advocate violence, you know, outside of a sport, but if you had to, you could take care of yourself.
Yeah.
As a natural progression, this is a question that a lot of people would ask. You play all sports, you're very athletic, you're smart, you're a good looking girl. Have you thought about something else as a natural progression like boxing, MMA?
I did kickboxing. I started that for a little bit, and
Okay.
I liked it. But then I came out here and I stopped because there was nowhere else to do it really. And then I did jiu-jitsu. I hated jiu-jitsu.
Really?
I hated it.
Why?
I don't know. I don't like being on my back, so it's just I hate jiu-jitsu.
Wow. Okay. So MMA is probably not in your future right now,
Probably not.
just because you don't like to be on the ground. I don't want to give any secrets away in case, 5 years from now you find yourself in MMA and then somebody sees this interview, you're like, oh, she hates being on her back. I remember seeing that in the interview. So I don't want to, put too much out there like that. But that's a natural progression for a lot of people. And who knows where you'll be then. But, one of the reasons I was telling my producer, Caleb, that one reason I wanted to interview you, because I used to work here as a school resource officer. And I remember you telling me that you were wrestling. It kind of intrigued me. If somebody sees you walking down the street, they might say, she looks athletic. She looks like she's an athlete. But looking at you like she's not a wrestler. And I just thought it was really, really cool. Vision Sports, we want to give a platform to a lot of, not just the mainstream sports or the popular sports or the people who do what's traditional. We want to give some shine to people who kind of step outside the box, and you definitely fit that mold. What class, what weight do you wrestle in?
132.
132? Have you always wrestled up? For people at home that don't know what the wrestling classes are there different wrestling classes for females than males?
Yeah.
Okay, so 132, where would that rank? Like how many classes are there?
Music for girls. 6.
Okay.
14.
14 classes?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Is there a 98 for girls? A 98 and then 106, 112. 117, 122.
So you're higher, you're a little bit higher on the scale as
Yeah.
far as, are you comfortable at that weight?
Yeah. I used to cut weight down for 122 for nationals, but I stopped doing it because I looked dead. I was not that weight ever.
You look dead. Is there anything about the sport that you don't like?
Cutting weight.
Cutting weight.
Yeah.
So you'll always try to wrestle up in that where you're most naturally comfortable.
Yeah.
In that natural way.
And for the past, since my junior year, my body weight has been around 134, 135.
How tall are you?
5'4".
So talk about your experience, because you won Tennessee.
Yeah, I won the girls freestyle and folk style state for when national started, because they had it together. It was freestyle, Greco, and folk style.
And which style, is that your favorite style?
Freestyle is my favorite
Freestyle?
style.
Okay. And what are your projections about this year? Who's your competition? Who's your competition here? Or do you have competition?
Myself.
I like it. I like that. And that's really the way that's how champions think.
Yeah.
You don't worry about the other guy, you worry about, or girl, you worry about what you can control. And obviously being a champion, you should have that confidence. Is there somebody that you say, hey, I definitely have to be on top of my game for this person?
It's not as much as me being off the top of my game. It's my mindset changes when I do wrestle people I already know. And the girl who beat me all this season, my mindset would change every single time I go to wrestle her. So that's why I lose. And it wrestled pretty much the same. And she's not that much stronger, but she'd get me every time because my mindset was off.
When you say your mindset was off, what does that mean? I mean, what type of mindset? What were the different mindsets that you had going into fighting this, wrestling this particular competitor?
I just give her too much credit. So instead of me going out and wrestling like I do everybody else, I'd think too much about her match. And then I'd psych myself up and I'd get either too ready or not be ready enough. And then I'd lose.
So it's not a technique and a physical type deal. It's
my
opportunity. What is your? I know your coach, Coach Corey Graham. What does he say when you get into those type of matches, or when you face that competitor? What's his message to you?
Well, because sometimes I'll go and watch her, and he'll tell me to not watch her.
Like you'll go to a match just
To watch her, yeah. And he tells me not to because I'm giving her too much credit because the only competition I have is myself. And then I'll keep that in my head and I'll go out and wrestle. But sometimes when it came to her,
when was the last time you wrestled her?
What was it, at regionals? Because I didn't wrestle her at state.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrestled her at regionals.
And where did you place in state?
I placed 4th at state.
Okay. Well, will you wrestle again before college?
Yeah. It's national season starting in March.
Okay. Okay. Do you expect to see her again?
Yeah.
That might be one that I have to reach out to you guys and we come and cover that match and see you put the smackdown on. As far as life, away from wrestling, what do you see yourself doing in life beyond wrestling?
As in like careers?
Yeah.
I do want to be a forensic scientist or be a doctor. Because the reason why I wanted to be a doctor, because I started that back home, is my 8th grade year, I was sitting in school. And my dad is calling me, blowing up my phone, and I couldn't answer the phone. But then he calls me again, and I actually answer because it's class change. And he tells me we need to go and get in the car and go back home. And I was like, what's wrong? And he's like, we're driving up to New York, your grandmother's in the hospital. I was like, what do you mean she's in the hospital? He was like, she's not coming back this time. And I was like, oh. And then by the time we got to the house, my stepmom had put the bags on the porch. And then we drove straight up to New York. And there was a surgery that she needed, and she wasn't able to get it because there wasn't enough doctors on call.
Really?
Yeah. And so then I was like, ever since then, it was like career day. And you pick a career when you're going into high school. And that's the set school I went to, because if not, I would have went to West Creek, which it's West Creek Elementary, Middle School, and High School. Mm-hmm. And you pick a certain career, and then you go to a different school. And so the next school I went to was Northwest, and it was nursing. And that's why I picked it, is because of my grandmother.
That's very, very inspiring, very touching, and it makes sense. We go through things in life, and it affects us in certain types of ways, and it affects change. And that's really how life works. You know, you go through something, you experience something, and instead of sitting around saying, hey, that's messed up, and just kind of take it and roll with it, you're figuring out, okay, at some point I can get in the fight and be part of this thing and mitigate things like what happened to your grandma, her situation, that somebody else down the road won't have to experience that. And I respect that. That's awesome. So if you could talk to young girls coming up behind you that's going to see this interview that maybe want to wrestle, play sports, be a doctor, what would you say to them? How do you gear your brain to, hey, this is what I want to do, this is why I want to do it, and then actually start doing it? Because a lot of people will say things, but they don't know how to get in that mind space and get from the mind to actually putting forth the effort. And for women, it's a lot of females out there that they're looking for role models. So what would you say to them? What should they be doing and using for inspiration?
You have to stay focused. So there's gonna be times that you're gonna want to give up. You're gonna want to say, I don't want to do this anymore. But you have to have that motivation to keep going. And like there has been times when I did quit my freshman year because one, I didn't like the uniform, two, it was too aggressive. But my dad has always told me, like, you gotta keep going. Whatever you start, you have to finish it.
It sounds like your dad is a big inspiration, a big, huge part of your life.
Yeah, my dad is my best friend.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So he's fully supporting you in all the things that you want to do, and that's great. You know, my daughter played basketball. We kind of butted heads when she was in high school because she's aggressive, and I kind of, you know, treated her. I wanted her to be tough.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes dads, especially, in doing that, you know, we kind of forget, hey, you gotta kind of soften up a little bit. Does your dad like that? Are you his baby girl?
Yeah, we do butt heads a lot, but at the end of the day, we always put things back together more often.
That's a very mature approach because a lot of teenagers, you know, it's, you guys know everything. Y'all know everything. We don't know anything. But I'm really happy that you and your dad have that relationship and that you have the support of your family. And I'm wishing you all the success. I'm going to be following you. I hope everybody will start looking for Katelynn Hernandez from Purdue Polytechnic High School, Inglewood, and watching her journey as she continues to do great things. So I'm excited. I appreciate your time and your energy that you bring, and I'll be watching. All right. Corey Graham.
How's it going?
How's it going, man? It's been a minute.
It definitely has.
Welcome to Vision Sports and Media. Got a chance to talk to Katelynn Hernandez, female wrestler at Purdue Polytech. You're the wrestling coach. Give me some insight on what type of person she is, what type of competitor she is. You can tell me her strengths. You ain't got to tell me her weaknesses. We don't want to put anything out there that's going to give somebody else a competitive edge. So talk about Katelynn. What kind of person is she?
I would say Katelynn definitely puts her all into everything. Whether it be like she works really hard to try to be a leader. That was a big thing and focus for us this year, is trying to learn how to be a leader. Because she is like kind of the poster child for our next generation of girls. And not just at Purdue Polytech, but all around the state and the country. And then, you know, wrestling wise, like she scraps, she's scrappy, she goes hard. She's one of the top girls in the country already, even if she don't believe it. She is technically and physically, like she's better than most girls in the country. So
she probably really doesn't know how good she is yet.
She has an idea, but you know, it takes. You got to build good habits and, you know, do everything the right way in order to get that self-belief. So she is a lot better than she thinks she is.
If you had her, because she's a senior, right?
Yep.
If you had had her as a freshman, how further along do you think she as far as her development is concerned?
We definitely got her a couple years behind. I know in Tennessee, like women's wrestling isn't really a big thing from a coaching standpoint, and the like level of competition. And the level of coaches out there isn't really there. So we had to, you know, she came in, we had to break some bad habits and then put some new ones in. I mean, we'd be further along. I think we'd have won a couple state titles, you know,
Really?
a couple national titles, yeah. So, but she's well on her way.
Okay.
I mean, that's still what we're working towards, winning a national title this year and then buttoning up some in college and, you know, making the world team and making a run at Olympic titles.
So she honestly has that capability.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's an athlete. She works hard, you know, so if we just get her mind right and continue to get better, like she's well on her way.
Awesome. How many girls do you have on your team?
We started with 8, ended up with
Really?
Yeah, started with 8. For a while, we actually had 2 for like the last 3 years that had some success. That kind of started the program, and now we started with 8, ended with 6. Had a couple injuries here and there, but yeah. So next year, I'm hoping to get 10 to 15 to start running a real legitimate program, fill some weight classes, make a run at the state title as a team.
Now, do the girls ever wrestle the boys?
Yes.
Is that like part of practice?
That's up to them. So I'll leave it up to them. There are pros and cons to it.
Talk about that.
So, actually boys and girls are built very differently, as we know. So like where girls carry most of their weights like in their hips. So like girls naturally have stronger hips than boys, whereas boys have pretty much stronger everything else. Right. So they get boys are usually a little bit tougher. Girls are actually easier to coach because their attention to detail is much higher. Okay. But they don't necessarily go out.
They're looking to be. They understand they need to be more technical because they don't have the overall physical strength.
Boys usually have a little bit more killer, which is why meshing those together and getting them to come together and roll. Kate usually wrestles the boys every day.
Really?
Yeah, Kate didn't really roll with the girls. So a lot of the other girls on the team were all new this year. So it almost would have been a disservice to her. It'd have been good for the girls,
right?
But she either rolled with coaches or boys on the team every day.
So how do the boys feel about wrestling? The guys that have to wrestle Katelynn, how do they feel? I mean, has she beat any of them?
Yeah. She puts it on some of the boys.
I love it.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think they mind. She's just part of the team. I mean, it's the same with the other girls. They don't wrestle the boys as much as she does, just because they're on experience. But like, even my other 2 from a couple years ago, they wrestled the boys all the way through because they were different weights, and so one was like 98 pounds and the other one was like 160 pounds. So they could either wrestle each other or go wrestle the boys around their weight. So I think there's definitely benefits in it. I will say it's better for like the lighter weights under 150 because once you start getting it into the upper weights, like boys are just too strong.
Too strong, right?
Built completely different.
Yeah.
So
do you ever see when in practice if Katelynn gets pinned or she has a tough time with a boy, does it come out?
It definitely comes out. Now she's got a little bit of a temper, which you need though.
Yeah,
you definitely.
That's part of that edge.
Yeah, like in every other country in the world outside of the U.S., like they just call wrestling fighting. So you definitely need some fight to you. And she got some fire, but that's part of it. It's an emotional sport. You're out there one-on-one with somebody, essentially trying to, take control of it. So, yeah, it definitely comes out sometimes.
What type of when you start talking about leadership, like she's a leader, in what way does she lead? I mean, does the whole team listen to what she has to say or follow her?
I try to focus on the girls primarily, because we have some boys who've been around for years, so coming in and stepping into the boys team and trying to be a leader is a little bit tougher, especially being a new face in the room.
Right.
And they don't necessarily take criticism from girls as well. So I try to avoid that at all costs. But no, even like sometimes she runs our boys warm-ups. She definitely runs the girls warm-ups. Out of tournaments, she's cheering the girls on and talking them up and stuff. A lot of times she's in the corner helping coach.
So let's do this. Pretend we're in a room with a bunch of college wrestling coaches and some coaches from the national team. What are you saying about Katelynn to them? What do they need to know about Katelynn Hernandez and why they should want her?
She has that it factor. She'll come in and work. She's not afraid to scrap with anybody. So, you put her in a room and she'll succeed kind of wherever she's at. That's why even in Tennessee with, limited resources, she was able to be successful to a degree. So, and she'll pretty much do whatever. You tell her to run through a wall, she'll run through a wall.
I like that.
She might not like it, but she'll do it.
maybe Katelynn, and she said she's played a lot of sports.
Yeah.
She played volleyball and track and wrestle. I didn't ask her, but do you think she could have played football?
Yes and no.
She's off camera. She's saying yeah.
Yes and no. Man, football. I know you're a football coach. Like, football's a kind of a different animal. Like, when you got guys, 200-pound guys running at you at 100 miles an hour, it's a little bit different when you get hit that way. She could have been successful. Like, she's an athlete. She's fast. So she could have had somewhat of success, but not in the same way as she does in wrestling.
See, that's why.
Especially because it's women's and men's. You know what I mean?
That's why I would have come in. She probably been the first girl that I said, I give her a shot at trying to run some wide out.
Yeah.
Use her speed on the outside.
Yeah, just avoid getting cracked by linebackers.
This is true. Well, you got boys that saying the same thing. They don't want any part of being.
Yeah, that's true.
so in that regard, it's the same.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Coach Corey Graham, for taking the time out and giving us some insight on Katelynn Hernandez. Like I told her, I want to give some shine to women's sports, in particular wrestling. I think she's a standout. I think that she's going to make somebody's university's wrestling team and national team really, really proud and much, much better. She seems like she's a great person, great energy, smart. So she's got all the tools. She's got a great coach in yourself. So I want to thank you for helping shine that light for her and giving her that opportunity and continue to coach her up, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And our journey don't necessarily stop here. Like, we could get you to coach. So the program we run, Legends of Gold, like, we coach kids from kindergarten through after their college careers when they're on their senior level careers.
And what is it called?
Legends of Gold.
And how would they get in contact?
So you can we can go on our website, legendsofgold.org. We actually have 3 sister programs, one in South Dakota, one in Las Vegas, and one in Montana. So, yeah, we have kids all over the country, traveling all over the world, just wrestling.
That's good stuff, man.
From all different ages, and I'm actually going to compete myself here in
what class do you compete in?
It's the Masters, so the old man division.
The old man division that doesn't have, with a man that's not old.
Yeah, I spend my time in my college and senior career, but coaching wise, I'm not at that in shape anymore. So no, Masters, it's 25 and up, and then they have it separated by different divisions every 5 years. So 30, 35, 35, 40, all the way up to like 70 years old.
You up there whipping up on 70-year-old men?
No.
Come on, man.
They're separated. It's 5-year age gap, not 50.
Okay.
But no, so even with Katelynn, like, as she continues her career, she'll be in college. She'll still come down here and train.
Okay. So it's sort of like an AAU.
Yeah. Well, it's just programming. So like, a lot of systems work, but it's which one you implement.
Gotcha.
It's the Bill Belichick.
Gotcha.
The Patriots were always good because they have a system and they play a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be good at something, you can't have 8 different systems telling you different things. So just keeping her consistent, staying on the same system, and finding the right college that'll implement a lot of the same stuff, so that we're not going backwards. So we'll still have our input, especially in the summer breaks, and then even after she gets out of college, if she wants to continue her career on the senior level, try to make world teams and Olympic teams. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, we got a lot of time left.
Well, I like I said, Vision Sports, we're going to continue to follow her, follow you guys, and I wish you much success. Definitely. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Do you have a story for the Coach Dino that you'd like to share on Behind the Game? Send us an email at visionsportsandmedia@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media for more content and behind the scenes on the power of sports.